Hey there, fellow Penguin Trekkies. Bob here. I've got some update news in the world of Star Trek. Some things confirmed and some interesting rumors that has this little Klinguin, that's a Klingon and a Penguin combined, felt he needed to share. So sharpen up your batless, don't warm up the gawk, and stay tuned as we find out about possible things that could be happening in Trek. Qa'pla!
You're listening to Penguin Thoughts. These are the thoughts that penguins are thinking when they were thinking that they were thinking about the thoughts they were thinking when they were thinking them. That is, we think.
So, most of you know that this little penguin is a full-blown geeky penguin, and one of my all-time favorite sci-fi series that I geek out about the most is Star Trek. So, I thought what better way to try and hype up my inner Klingon, or Klinguin, I should say, than to discuss with some of you some of the things coming up in Trek and also possible rumors I have been seeing popping up all over the internet about Trek. As always, I'll put out all the links I have found in the making of this podcast in the description of the podcast. So, hailing frequencies are open and let's get into it. First, let's start off with some confirmed Trek news about what is currently happening. Back in Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, we all got a chance to see Anson Mount portray Captain Christopher Pike of the Enterprise. This is the captain before James T. Kirk took command, just in case you didn't know. Anyway, Anson's portrayal of Pike, also Ethan Peck's portrayal of Spock, and Rebecca Romajan's portrayal of Number 1 during Season 2 of Discovery left fans wanting more. And actually, there was a big push by fandom for a new Trek series based on that crew. And CBS heard the fans, and the new series, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, was born. The new series, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, is set to release later this year in 2021, with Anson Mount, Ethan Peck, and Rebecca Romajan reprising their roles. Anyway, recently there was an announcement from Paramount Plus on March 12th of this year letting us know that Strange New Worlds has started production. I myself could not be happier, and I do so hope that the tone of this show is way different than the current Kurtzman Trek has been, and CBS has promised that actually this new show is to be returning to more of a message of hope and to be episodic in nature like the Trek of old. And I, for one, really hope this really does happen. However, we'll just have to wait and see. I do know it does appear that the cast of Strange New Worlds is very sincere and upbeat and grateful for the chance to bring this new life to a Captain Pike series. The actor, Anson Mount, who actually plays Pike, even went on as far as tweet on March 15th the following, and I quote, "While I continue to be amazed that I'm the guy in the chair, this is the true lead of our show. Thank you again to all the fans for helping make this happen." Wow, he really does seem to be genuine here. So the cast does realize just how important the fans like me and you are, and seem to be truly thankful for this opportunity to tell a new, hopeful Trek story. I can't wait to see how it turns out later this year. Next, I want to dive into some recent rumors that I have seen popping up all over the internet about Trek. So take what I'm about to say as simply Trek rumors and take it all with a large helping of salt tablets like in the TOS episode The Man Trap. Beam down coordinates are locked, so let's energize and beam down to the rumors. This first rumor I have read about comes from an article on Red Shirts Always Die, and is about the possible return of Captain Archer in any new upcoming Star Trek series, like maybe Star Trek Strange New Worlds, with Scott Bakula reprising his role as Captain Archer. Now, my first thought is this. Wow! If Archer did show up in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, he would be really, really old. And it brings up a lot of questions, like how would they actually have him in Strange New Worlds, since ENT, the show Archer, was taking place in the 22nd century, and Strange New Worlds is supposed to take place in the 23rd century, just a little bit before the TOS series. So one theory I have maybe about this is maybe the showrunners of Strange New Worlds might decide to go back and tell the beginning story of when Pike became captain of the Enterprise after Captain Robert April, who was the first captain of the NCC 1701 Enterprise. By going back to Pike's beginning, this would shave some of the time gap between Enterprise and Strange New Worlds, but still talking about at least maybe, 70 plus years or so? I'm just estimating a guess here. I may not even be close. However, that still means that Captain Archer would of course probably be retired and kind of a really old guy. I know what you're thinking. Well, this is the future, and maybe medical science has found a way to keep people alive a lot longer. And maybe that is possible and plausible, since there is some basis for that in the very first episode of TNG, The Next Generation, when we see an elderly Leonard McCoy aboard the Enterprise 1701D, which of course takes place in the 24th century, as we know, and Dr. McCoy, aka Bones, is from the TOS series, taking place back in the 23rd century. So I guess it is plausible. Now, as for the reasons why we could see an older Archer in Strange New Worlds, is still a lot of things we can speculate about, and maybe that would be the subject of another podcast in the future. But for now, just know at this point that there is just a rumor and rumbling in the Trek fan community that they would love to see an older Jonathan Archer in the new Star Trek Strange New Worlds series. Also, in this same article, there is also a mention of maybe T'Pol, played by Jolene Blaylock, showing up in Strange New Worlds, which to me seems a bit more plausible than Archer, since due to there being a younger Spock in the Strange New Worlds series, and T'Pol also being Vulcan, their lifespans are a lot longer, and who knows, maybe they've even known each other back on Vulcan at some point. This would be definitely fascinating if it happened, and, in my opinion, more plausible. Either way, seeing some of the older characters that I have grown to love in Trek show up in a new Trek shows would be cool. Of course, in my opinion, provided they aren't changed from who they are fundamentally or were in the past shows, aka just a good Trek story without any agenda like current Kurtzman Trek shows tend to be. Anyway, this next rumor really gets my Klingon blood stoked and pumping. This next rumor pertains to Worf, one of my all-time favorite characters of all of Trek. He is even one of the inspirations I used when I created my half-Klingon, half-Vulcan character named Takur that I use in Star Trek Roleplay in Second Life, which, by the way, you can see some of him and other Trek roleplays I do on my YouTube channel. Feel free to stop by and watch any of the Trek roleplay episodes or two. Anyway, back to the rumors about Worf. Michael Dorn, the actor who plays Worf, has had a very long acting career, and especially in that of Trek. He has portrayed a Klingon lawyer who is an ancestor of Worf in Star Trek VI, the Undiscovered Country movie. And of course, we all know him as the lovable prune juice drinking Klingon Starfleet officer first introduced in The Next Generation, and eventually later moved on to a role in DS9 and also in several other Trek movies. For years, ever since TNG crew has no longer shown up in TV or movies, Michael Dorn has had the idea of a Captain Worf series, which, to be honest, I would be so stoked to see. With all these resurgence of new Trek TV series, Dorn is really pushing and trying to get somebody in the Trek world to greenlight a Worf TV series. Oh, please make this happen. Dorn just states he wants to work, and he's still in pretty good shape and can still portray our favorite Klingon, Worf. Dorn goes on to say in another article that he is surprised that no one has contacted him about reprising his role, especially with several TNG cast members already showing up in Star Trek Picard, and a second season is currently in production. Dorn goes on to say that he is ready for the comeback provided it is worth it. It takes about 3 hours for him to get into his Klingon makeup, and he doesn't want to take all that time to get into the makeup just to stand around and scowl at people, to quote Dorn in the article. I don't blame him. It makes a lot of sense to me. Why waste his time doing him up in that makeup every time just to make his role insignificant? So his role, in my opinion, should be a significant one. Either way, I would love to have Worf back. Well, with my own little caveat. To be honest, with the current state of Trek and way things have been under Alex Kurtzman, and not really about good Trek storytelling, instead rather about an agenda, I myself feel that I would really only want to see Worf back if it was the Worf I have come to know and love, and not some watered down agenda version of him like I feel they did to Jean-Luc in the first season of Picard. Do I believe that they can bring back Michael Dorn as Worf in the right way? Sure, if they choose to do so. However, I'm not sure that would happen the right way under the leadership of Alex Kurtzman. But I do know things can change, and maybe how Star Trek Strange New Worlds will give some indication of how things are going to be in the future. Maybe it'll change the way current Trek series are and return to what Trek was. For me personally, I hope that the only time I get to see a Captain Worf does not turn out to be in the episode of TNG Season 2 called The Emissary, but rather that somebody in the Trek world decides to run with Dorn's idea of a Worf TV series, because I would like to think and hope that Dorn would do his character Worf the right way and not change who Worf is fundamentally. So, there you have it, Penguin Trekkies. All the current Trek news I have seen and current rumors that are floating out there on the internet. I would be really interested in hearing your thoughts on all the things I mentioned in this podcast, and what other things maybe you have seen or heard about possible things that could happen in future Trek. Feel free to leave me some feedback or drop me a line on this podcast. I would love to hear from you. Anywho, I hope you decide to come back and listen to more podcasts from yours truly. If you're so inclined, I also have a YouTube channel where I make rather silly videos. I even put some Trek roleplay videos up there and other geeky videos. Plus, I have some other social media sites which are all linked on my Anchor podcast page, and I would be greatly honored if you come and visit and maybe even subscribe. And as always, I'm the crazy and silly penguin named WhataboutBob, and I'm out the window because the door has been dematerialized by being beamed off by some pesky Romulans. They're without honor. Anyway, later, Penguin Trekkies. Live long and prosper, and glory to you and to your house. Hailing frequencies are closed.